Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Janelle Slade. Another attempt to legalize marijuana in Montana.
This as a second committee seeking to legalize marijuana introduces its updated draft ballot initiative.
It's a hot topic aiming for the November ballot, already driving debate across the state.
MTN's Jonathan Ambarian looks at how this latest proposal differs from others.
Last week, a committee called Montana Can submitted a revised draft for a marijuana legalization ballot initiative to the Montana Secretary of State's office. It comes just over a week after another group, New Approach Montana, filed their own proposed initiatives. Montana Can leaders say they worked with current marijuana providers in Montana and advocates in other states to put together a draft.
I'm just trying to make sure that the cannabis community is represented and has another option.
One of the biggest differences between Montana Can's proposal and the other plan is in the minimum age to purchase and use marijuana. Montana Can would set the age to 18 instead of 21. Analysts believe the Montana Constitution would have to be amended in order to make the minimum age higher than 18. New Approach is proposing a separate initiative to make that change. Montana Can Executive Director Erica Ciate says the legislature can raise the age later if they choose.
Personally, I don't feel that the age change belongs in the Constitution, and I do believe that adults are adults at 18.
Montana Can's draft also sets a 5% tax on recreational marijuana sales, compared to New Approach's 20%. Ciate says a congressional proposal to decriminalize marijuana included a federal tax of 5%.
Which made me go, why are we looking at giving 3 or 4 times that to the state?
It will take more than 25,000 signatures for Montana Can's initiative to make the November ballot.
It's going to be a great discussion from here on out with the public, and that's what's exciting to me, is that the voters can decide.
In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Now, leaders with New Approach Montana, the group advocating the other legislation initiative, says that their polling shows that Montana voters will only support legalization if the minimum age is 21.
In other news tonight, 2 people are dead following a head-on crash between a school bus and a small car in Rosebud County this morning.
It happened on Highway 212 between Lame Deer and Ashland just before 7 o'clock. Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Scott McDermott tells us tonight the Busby school bus was traveling west. The car was heading east. He says the roads were icy and the car and bus collided head-on.
Now, the 2 adults in the car with Montana license plates were killed. One student, the bus driver, and a bus monitor were not seriously injured, but were taken to the hospital. As of news time, the names of the victims and circumstances leading up to the crash have not been released.
Well, a former Stockman Bank commercial loan assistant will spend nearly 5 years in prison for stealing money from 2 customers. One of them, a mentally incompetent elderly man. 31-year-old Sean L. Logan of Shepherd was sentenced to 57 months behind bars and another 5 years of supervised release. He was also ordered to pay approximately $196,000 in restitution. Logan pleaded guilty in October to theft, embezzlement, aggravated identity theft, and other charges. According to federal prosecutors, Logan made a series of unauthorized internal transfers from the account of another Stockman Bank customer to the elderly man's account, from which Logan would pay his own creditors and make deposits into his own accounts.
Well, today marks day 5 in the search for a 34-year-old missing Great Falls woman. And now the Cascade County Sheriff's Office tells MTN it is bringing in multiple resources from multiple agencies to assist. Authorities won't specify what exactly those agencies are, stating they don't want to compromise the integrity of the investigation. They tell us at this point they have no new information to release as the search for Amy Harding Perman continues. Harding has been missing since Sunday night when authorities say she fled her house after an argument with her boyfriend.
All right, let's turn to the weather now. And Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. Bob, it's January, but with the winds picking up, you've mentioned that the danger of fire is actually rising out there.
It is amazing. Now, fortunately, I guess if you call it fortunately, it's actually going to happen in February. It's going to be on Saturday, not Friday. But let me show you what's happening out there. Right now, the winds are really starting to howl like a big dog. Take a look at this. We do have a lot of high wind warnings across the high line, and also high wind watches. You'll notice we got some places like up there by Shelby, winds gusting to 90 miles per hour starting at noon Friday, going to 11 p.m. Saturday. Elsewhere in the plains, probably more like winds gusting to 60 miles per hour. Then we also have a high wind watch to about 65 miles per hour. That's over there in, I believe, Marr County. And so that's what we're looking at. Also, take a look at this one here. We have a high wind warning for the Beartooth foothills all the way from Bozeman through Big Timber on into Absaroka, winds gusting to 70 miles per hour. Then let's go ahead and move over here like this and show you that we also have this, a fire weather watch. This is the first one of the year, and it starts across the northern half of the state and drops all the way down towards Bozeman. That stays with us Saturday morning till Saturday evening when the winds are howling like a big dog. We'll have more in your forecast coming up in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob.
Yesterday, we kicked off MTN's campaign coverage with an overview of Montana's top primary election contest, the three-way Republican primary for governor.
Today, MTN's Mike Dennison looks at the money behind those candidates, where it's coming from, and who's giving it.
3 men are vying for the GOP nomination to run for Montana's open governor's seat. Attorney General Tim Fox, Congressman Greg Gianforte, and State Senator Al Olszewski of Kalispell. Already, the trio has raised a combined $2.2 million in campaign funds. The leader by far is Gianforte with $1.4 million through the end of last year, followed by Fox with $566,000 and Olszewski at $229,000. Where's it all coming from? Although Gianforte and Fox have donors from around the country, they're both getting about 80% of their funds from Montanans. Gianforte is just getting a lot more, averaging more than $350 per Montana donation, while Fox is about $200 per donation. The employment profile of their donors is remarkably similar. Both are receiving substantial amounts of money from retirees and business owners and executives. Olszewski's campaign fund is fueled almost entirely by Montanans. All but $2,000 of his donations have come from inside the state. When it comes to in-state geography, Gianforte is killing it in his hometown of Bozeman and Gallatin County, the fastest growing area of the state. He's raised some $280,000 from the area, compared to only $31,000 for Fox and just $2,000 for Olszewski. The only city where Fox has outraised Gianforte is Helena, $95,000 to Gianforte's $52,000, and the only area where Olszewski has come close to holding his own is his home turf, Kalispell and the Flathead Valley. Olszewski has raised about $49,000 from Kalispell, Big Fork, and Whitefish, compared to $102,000 for Gianforte and $34,000 for Fox. Gianforte, a multimillionaire businessman, also has put about $72,000 of his own money into his campaign. But he's not the biggest self-funder of the bunch. That honor goes to Olszewski, an orthopedic surgeon who so far has pulled $102,000 from his own pocket to fund his campaign. So, what's it all mean? Do the candidates with the most money win? A lot of times, yes. And donors can be persuaded to get on what looks like a winning horse. But, as we said yesterday, in this race, there are many rivers to cross before it's all over in June. In Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. And coming up early next month, Q2's Jay Cohn will take our campaign coverage further with a look at the other three-way contested primary race for governor, the Democratic primary.
Well, a lawsuit challenging the Montana Lottery on its requirement of sports wagering license recipients to have an appropriate alcoholic beverage license has been denied. Judge Kathy Seeley ruled against an injunction filed by a Billings-based investment group. That injunction would have stopped the lottery from issuing sports wagering licenses until the lawsuit was resolved. Now, a Ready Group has already been granted a gambling operator license. However, they argued the Lottery Commission was wrong to add the alcoholic beverage license as a requirement to obtain a sports wagering license. So far, the lottery reports receiving hundreds of applications from businesses wanting a sports wagering license and is in the process of reviewing those applications.
An update tonight after a coyote attack in Yellowstone National Park this week. Park officials say the animal has tested negative for rabies. The coyote attacked and bit a woman on Tuesday when she was skiing in the Canyon Village area on the Grand Loop Road. The 43-year-old was taken to the Canyon Visitor Center and treated for lacerations and puncture wounds to her head and arm. The coyote was later tracked down and killed.
There's more news from across our state on the MTN 9 o'clock news. Time to turn the page. The old Northwestern Energy Building in Butte looking to transform into a movie production facility. Join Jeanelle for that story and much more on the MTN Statewide News at 9 on the CW.
But first, on tonight's 5:30 News, through one blood donation, you have the power to save 3 lives. Tonight, we meet a Billings High School student who's answering that call.
And in sports, Scott hears from Montana State Products Mike Person and Jan Stenerud. One's about to play in his first Super Bowl. The other got a ring a half-century ago.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.